No golf? We got to hit that next week, EMac.
Well, golf is, I don't know if we had anything posted.
Yeah.
So I was going off at anything that we had posted because, Awesemo has stats for everything.
That's true.
Almost everything. I don't know if we have golf.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for hanging and welcome in. It's the PrizePicks NBA and Beyond strategy show. That's right. Today, EMac is going to show you all of the different ways in which you can make some money on PrizePicks. So make sure that you hit that thumbs up button right away. You don't even know what's happening here. We're telling you ahead of time that we're going to make you some money across the board. We'll start in the NBA, but we're going to bounce around the NHL, college hoops. You never know what can make an appearance here on the PrizePicks site. On our ticket here, Mike Awesemo is producing. So again, if you haven't already, thumbs up, subscribe, and that link there below is for you. When you click on it, you can sign up to PrizePicks right this second, and we'll match your first deposit up to 100, give you that free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. I'm excited, man. Normally, we're doing a ton with the NFL. We get to turn our back on the season now for a couple of months, and with the NBA kind of heading into the All-Star break this week, we get to bounce around a little bit, EMac, to different sports even, and build a cross-sport PrizePicks ticket.
Absolutely. This is going to be fun. And I have some experience with this on PrizePicks because the last week leading up to the Super Bowl, they had 7 days of different challenges. And if you completed all of them, you got a 5-question ticket. And if you get all 5 questions right, you win $5,000. I got the ticket. I haven't used it. I need to use it today or tomorrow, I think is what it is. I didn't want to use it for the Super Bowl because I was going in too many other directions, but I've got that there. Let's also talk about some cool stuff that PrizePicks is doing. Sign up for their Discord. It's free, but you get their alerts. You can also follow them on Twitter at PrizePicks. But 2 days ago, they gave out a deposit $100 or probably deposit $400 and they'll give you $100, but they did it in $5 increments. So every 20 you put in, they give you 5. Nice. And that money comes out first. So I did that. Yesterday, they had a heavy server load right before the Super Bowl. So you know what they did? They announced on Twitter and they sent an email to all their users that logged in yesterday and couldn't get in. And they said, and they'll honor this for anybody. It's already over. But from midnight last night through 12 o'clock tonight or 12 o'clock this afternoon, they would back you on any $25 card you made. If it loses, they'll give you $25 back. If it wins, you get the winnings.
It's not bad at all, right?
They want you to have a good user experience. That's what I'm telling you guys right now. So there's two great examples of that.
You think Eli Manning or Drew Brees are going to stand up for their respective areas there and stand for the average bettor and get some ticket voided? No. That's the difference here. No, not at all. They don't care about the little man here. That's PrizePicks reaching out and helping. I love it, man. All right, so let's start with the NBA. This is our first time now that we're looking at the NBA. As mentioned, we've done a ton with the NFL, and now we focus on a couple of different stat categories. Again, we're going to bounce around at some point and hit the NHL, hit college hoops before we get out of here. And since it's the NBA, I have my eye on a couple of three-point plays here. But let's start at the very least with you and just looking at the first area of value for you versus what we have in our own projections, our free projections on Awesemo.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the one nice thing about having Awesemo is especially for the NBA is we do our projections and we run out the stat lines. So we can look at a variety of different things that PrizePicks are doing, from assists to rebounds to 3-pointers to points to do we call them is it PRA? Points, rebounds, assists.
Yeah,
is that what you guys like to call that in the betting?
I
say you guys. I've now joined you, but
what do you mean? You can't sit there, straddle the line, and then when it's convenient, point a finger and say, is that what you people call it?
Is that what you veteran right. Degenerates? I am just an amateur in this particular arena. But so there's all sorts of ways to do it. And then they have fantasy points. Yeah. Now, their fantasy points mimic what is on Yahoo and FanDuel, meaning 3 points for points and steals, no double bonuses, all that drafting stuff. Where it gets confusing sometimes is their football is full PPR, no bonuses for 100-yard or 300-yard bonuses. You got to know the scoring system, because sometimes you'll find some of these bets, and as we talk through these, we'll give you some where you're like, I like the points, but it's a little close. But if we start looking at points, rebounds, and assists, now I've got an edge one way or the other. Or, hey, I know this person's good at steals. They're playing a crappy point guard. They might get a couple steals. That's 6 fantasy points. You might want to go look at the fantasy points. So this gives you a whole wide variety of what you can look for. And then on PrizePicks, you just type the player's name in for the sport, and it pulls up all the questions that you can look at. So now into the analysis here, because this is going to be fun. We're going to want to be doing this for a lot now that there's no NFL. So for points, Trey Mann currently on PrizePicks is at 11.5.
Love this.
He is in New York going against the Knicks. The Knicks are down a couple people. They're still playing relatively slow, have a pretty good defense. Guess what? So does Oklahoma City, surprisingly, have a defense. They make people work for it. They ultimately end up losing, but they make people work for it here. So PrizePicks has them for 11.5 points. Awesemo has them for 14.3. So you're like, oh, wow, that's weird. I'm looking at his game logs. His game logs have been horrible. He's only had a few fantasy single-digit regular points. Well, SGA is out. Lou Dort is out tonight. And now we have Josh Giddey on a soft 26 to 30 minutes cap, meaning if it's going to be a close game or there's reasons to keep him in, they said they'll play him 30, 31, 32, but they don't want to burn him out, right? They want him to get used to playing the full grind, but They don't want to have him playing 35 minutes a game like he was a couple weeks ago, because it's just going to burn him out. There's no reason for them to do that. And then, so that leaves a big hole in their offense. So Trey Mann is the one who is up on PrizePicks. Ty Jerome is the other I would be looking for. He wasn't there when I pulled this information earlier, but with Trey Mann there at 11.5 points, Awesemo has him for 14.3. That's a 72% chance of success to top that number. I feel good about that one. That's one of the better ones out there. That 11.5 also compares favorably to what the other books are out there. And I found that one using OddsShopper to quickly find that one.
That did the Island game on the OddsShopper channel for some written content in this game tonight. And that was the first play that we gave out on the prop element to it. And the difference, of course, is that by now you're going to be laying juice. Earlier in the day, maybe in the morning in the books, you could have got ahead of that, but everybody's on that. So you don't have that shift on PrizePicks where maybe it shifts a point or so, but there's no plus that turns into the minus and you lose any value. The number from a point standpoint has stayed the same, and the volume is going to be there. I mean, look, you could take, I think, a couple of different angles on Mann if it's over his points, over his first half points, right? If you just wanted to place a wager on his threes, absolutely great place to target, especially because, look, the Knicks are coming off a really bad road stretch where they've blown a bunch of double-digit leads. So definitely a great place to start there with Trey Mann. Was there anybody else that you were looking at that maybe you don't want to give out as far as a play, but you were kind of straddling and it just didn't work out as far as our comparisons, because that's usually where you're targeting, is the wide gap between our comparisons free on Awesemo and on OddsShopper versus what you're going to get here on PrizePicks.
Absolutely. So that's a nice segue there. So we've got Milwaukee tonight. They're not going to have, they're unlikely to have Giannis Antetokounmpo. He was downgraded to doubtful, as we've seen in the past, that when that happens, he usually is going to sit. They have a game tonight against Portland. Even once he went from probable to doubtful, the spread moved from about 15 to, I think it's sitting at around 11 or 11 and a half right now. So Milwaukee should win. But we know that when when he's out, Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, they get a heavy fantasy point per minute increase. Now, that we're going to take advantage of in DFS because the salaries can't move. On PrizePicks, this is where you want to start looking at some of the different angles here amongst the different stats or opportunities, because those two, we know they see an increase each to about 1.3 fantasy points per minute this season when Giannis is not on the court. So then they've got a great matchup going here against Portland. Now, so if I was just hoping that one of their numbers would stand out to me, it really doesn't, because if we look at just points, we'll talk Middleton first. Sure. PrizePicks is 23.5, Awesemo's 22.3. PrizePicks has his assists and rebounds for Middleton at 6 even. Awesemo has 4.5 and 6.2. And then PrizePicks has the total points, rebounds, assists, or PRA at 35.5. Awesemo, all of a sudden, we have a tick up just a tiny bit higher. It's about 37, 38 on there. However, fantasy points, because now we want to work in steals, we want to work in assists. I want, or steals and blocks. I want that for Drew. I want that for Middleton. We actually have a tick higher in his fantasy points than PrizePicks does. So in looking at all of that, and the hard part with Middleton and Drew, they both see an increase in rebounds rate, assist rate, scoring rate. And they're, Drew's going to handle the ball, but guess what? He's also the better shooter between the two. So he's going to be the one taking some shots. Middleton can run the break, et cetera. They've got a couple other, guys that can pitch in, but they have a few people dinged up. Pat Connaughton's out. Dante DiVincenzo's been traded. I don't know how they're going to get these points, but now there's a ton of assists and rebounds floating out there. But could one of them get 10 and the other get 4? Yes. And I don't know which would do which in which of those two categories.
Right.
But I know someone amongst those two is going to get them. So that's where I started, not only going beyond the points, rebounds, and assist combination, but going all the way to the fantasy points, because some of these you can pick off nicely within them. These guys, it wasn't, and I want to take advantage of their flexibility. The maximum way we can do that is to go to fantasy points, because that has everything encompassed.
All right, before we hit rebounds, just something to think about back to that Thunder and Knicks game. Knicks were on that dreadful road trip. They blew 3 double-digit leads over the last 5 games. They're back home against, as you laid out, a Thunder team that is just brutal right now and self-inflicted by limiting Giddey out there. First half points for Julius Randle, 11.5. Barrett's out tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Couple of guys that you mentioned are banged up. That could be a really good opportunity for Randle to come out in this first half and smash and put the Knicks up by a bunch to get into that half.
I love that call out. Did you know it's not on the run sheet, but come on. I like Julius Randle. He's a featured article in the NBA DFS building blocks. He's my lead player there, a free article on the homepage. But in his 5-game road trip, which was all through the Western Conference over the 5 games in 8 days, Randle averaged 38.1 minutes, 21.5 field goal attempts, 29 points. We just need him to get 11.5. Well, technically 12. I like this. I like this a lot. He also in this stretch averaged 12.8 rebounds, 6.2 assists, 1.4 combined blocks and steals. And in 4 of these outings, he had 50 or more fantasy points, according to PrizePicks scoring system.
Look at that. Not bad. Not bad. See, we're on the same page. It didn't even come from the run sheet there. And look, we got to give a shout here. First, QOQ Cake on the chat, alerting us to what PrizePicks did. And I was joking, half joking at least, ripping Breeze and Manning and everybody else representing all those books there. But I didn't know this. when you reference all of the things that Prize Picks did yesterday, according to QOQ Cake here, they also refunded everything OBJ. No book out there did something like that. So for Prize Picks to do that, even more reason, if you haven't gone on board yet, jump on. We'll give you that $100 deposit match and also the free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. But holy shit, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm telling you, jump on into Prize Picks. They want you to have a good user experience. They do all sorts of little gimmicky things throughout the week. Tomorrow is Taco Tuesday. They're going to put up over the course of the day 3 different players, one in the afternoon, one from that goes to about 2:30, one that goes from 2:30 till lock, and then one that goes after lock. They let people in their Discord chat vote on who it is, but then they knock off between 10 and 20% of whatever prop is voted on or whatever statistic and player is voted on by the Discord. And then you get that as one of your plays. And they make a big deal out of this because I think something it's like of their last 24, so the last 8 days they've done this, I think their taco has come through 24 out of 28 times or something crazy like that. They want you to have a chance to get this. So this is just all the fun little things they're offering to get you to come in and try the different sports and the different things.
All right. Anything else on the rebounding standpoint?
Yes.
You mentioned the PRA, but I want to hit the NBA and kind of clean it up before we kind of bounce around here.
Absolutely. So Kyle Kuzma versus Detroit. And then we're going to look at 2 players from this game. One, you've got Kuzma, who is, Daniel Gafford, I believe, is still out in the health and safety protocol. You've got Thomas Bryant, who's available, and then Montrezl Harrell, who was traded. So Kuzma already getting a lot of rebounds for the Wizards. This makes it even more so. No Spencer Dinwiddie, et cetera. So he has, in his last 2 games, I want to say he's averaging 11 some rebounds, 13 rebounds, something like that. He's coming off his first triple-double 2 games ago. I looked at his assists. Those looked okay. I looked at his points. Those looked okay, but I really like the rebounding this one going against Detroit. PrizePicks currently has him at 8.5. Awesemo has him for 9.9. That's about a 70% success rate there, 69% chance. Nice. Of him getting to that number. And then Saddiq Bey on the other side going against Washington. Now, PrizePicks has Saddiq Bey for 4.5 rebounds. Awesemo has him for 5.7. As I mentioned, Washington, not a lot of imposing front court people that are going to take away the ball. No more Spencer Dinwiddie, et cetera. So we're running out of guys, and no Bradley Beal. We're running out of guys that are okay rebounders for their positions. The only thing that is slightly concerning for anybody on Detroit is they're running a 10-man deep rotation because they now have Jeremy Grant back and they now have Kelly Olynyk back. So even though Trey Lyles is out, in Sacramento now, they've shifted some things around. So it's not quite as exciting. Bagley at some point will probably enter the mix, et cetera. But the point being is those guys aren't playing a ton of minutes until they start doing their foolish thing that they've done the last couple of years where they've started resting people en masse every other day or every other game. Be careful from a fantasy perspective, but I do really like this number for Saddiq Bey going against Washington in this particular matchup, just because of the changes that have happened to the Washington team.
Awesome. Look, I'll throw a couple in there just to keep an eye on here from a 3-point standpoint. I love these. Whenever I'm doing the Prize Picks videos in the morning, I always try to insert one play in there because they're fun. It's like the guaranteed prop where you're just rooting for pure scoring here. Somebody, especially if you're taking advantage of a volume guy. So just compare these to the books real quick. And I've already done it. So don't worry. I've done the math here for you. You're laying ridiculous juice. If you can even find this total anymore at the books, 3.5 for Anthony Simons. Most places are offering over 4.5, but giving you plus money. So 3.5 has just been so juiced to high hell and back. Middleton is also juiced over 2.5. Talk about the Giannis situation. Portis, you could also target there as well. And then last, I don't think Prize Picks nor anybody else have caught up. And shout out to Redpack because we nailed this on the deep dive on Saturday, EMac. But CJ McCollum's numbers are still at 2.5. It's clear last game showing that he is now the main scorer, and rightfully so, on that team. That number should be 3.5. So just food for thought on the way out for the NBA. I just wanted to add a couple of little things here that I'll be playing in the betting market since I'm in PA from Prize Picks.
Yeah, and if you also want to look at Portland, Anthony Simmons, pardon me,
Love Simons. Yeah,
Simons,
love him right away.
I just have a mental block on that. But
well, you're thinking of Ben Simmons because I have the Sixer stuff on. It's subliminal. That's why.
Sorry. Yeah, get me out of it. Unfortunately, I do that far too often. In any event, he has a 3.5, I believe, 3-point prop, and then he also has, I think, 5.5 for assists, or maybe it's 6.
Love
now.
that.
Those are okay. They just missed the cutoff. But the point being here is you can look at all of this if you go to Odd Shopper. That's the Awesemo sister site, and you pull up any of these props for NBA player props. Those are our projections coming through. So we're not going to give you the keys to the kingdom. You know, we want you to come behind the paywall and get it all at once. But if you can go find the player or the prop you want, you can back into these. And that was one of the ones that just missed the cutoff. But I do like those 3-point ones. I mean, CJ McCollum coming off a career high in rebounds in his last game.
Nice one, too.
It's like Jason Hart. It's like Josh Hart never left.
Yes. All right, let's make some money on the ice, man. I'm excited for this.
All right. So this is where people will be like, oh, but I don't want to watch hockey. Great. I don't either. But you know what? I want to take advantage of PrizePicks and the awesome information that I already have. So a couple, I was telling Eytan this before the show, they had fantasy scoring for hockey. They've taken that down because, sorry, I need the cough drop there. I think they were taking a bath on it. So not many sites have the broken out projections here, and their fantasy points were different than DK, different than Yahoo, different than FanDuel, but you could back into them using our projections, and you could find just some egregious ones out there, especially some of the defensemen they put up. So I think they're licking their wounds. Hey, look at all the cool things they did for everybody yesterday with Odell Beckham Jr. and all that other stuff. That's okay, but I'm just saying they're dynamic and they're going to change some stuff around. It's not a gimme. But hockey, who wants to do this? So shots on goal. So there's a couple here that I like, and there's a few players that I usually go to for shots on goal, and because I played a lot of streaming for season-long leagues. Right now, it's coming to fruition because I know who those guys are, and I know who to look for. And more often than not, shots on goal are going to be 2.5, 3, 3.5, or 4. 4 is going to be tough to get. 3.5 is right in the wheel park. But if you want to know what the matchup is and who's doing what lately, you can pick off some of these guys, because sometimes they'll have people down at 3 where we're projecting for 4.4 or something like that. Those are the ones you want to pounce on. It's a sweat through the end of the game a lot of times, but you can also have it happen in the first shift if things are crazy. So the guys we're looking at are Timo Meier. This is the last game of the night. San Jose's going, they're hosting Edmonton. So Edmonton, of course, has the amazing offense with Connor McDavid and who was it, Drazel, and the other guys that are out there. So I don't know all the players, but
they just fired their head coach, though.
Yeah, well, but this is going to be a back and forth affair, and Meyer gets a lot of key time on the ice and a lot of high leverage situations. So I like him because PrizePicks has him at 3.5. We have him for 4.2. So we just got to get to 4, and we're excited.
Not too difficult.
Kyle Connor is my other one. Everyone's gonna be like, who? Connor? You mean Connor McDavid? No, Kyle Connor. So he's kind of a sniper out there as well. He's someone that can get routinely get 6-7 shots on goal per game. Then these guys, they'll go a game where they get 1 or 2, right? It's like baseball hits, right? It doesn't happen all the time. And then, you get some second string defenseman that gets 5 blocks and 5 shots on goal out of nowhere. And then it takes him a week to match that production over 3 games, right? It's weird stuff happens. But NHL is more of an event-based sport. But Connor is at 4. We have him for 4.4. Usually when you're getting the players where we're projecting for 4.4, that's our median projection. There's usually only 3 or 4 per slate that get that. Those are the guys you want to target because they have the best chance of going off. And those are the 2 I'm looking at for hockey. And then for the shots on goal, then they also have points. So points are different than fantasy points. So you get the way theirs works out is you get the combination of assists
goals
assists and goals.
Right.
Those are just interchangeably called points for this category.
Okay.
So you can get the number for Connor McDavid is 1.5. If he gets 2 assists, that's 2 points. If he gets 2 goals, that's 2 points. If he gets a goal and an assist, that's 2 points. He needs to be involved in 2 scoring events, and he gets the over. I like him for that. We have him at about 1.55 or 1.6 for the combined 2 events. We have him for just over an assist. So while he doesn't take a ton of shots, generally as a rule of thumb. He's involved in most of their scoring plays. He gets a ton of power play one time and all that. He's a phenomenal player, and their power play one is like a all-star team. So we need 2 events to go our way, and I'm not a fan of the San Jose goaltender there. So whomever it is on the ice. So look at that. We're talking hockey. And then the last one to get us out of here. Did you know that Awesemo has fantasy projections for college basketball?
I do now.
Did you know PrizePicks also has college basketball?
Absolutely.
So let's put those hands together and applaud Matt Kajeski, who does our NCAA basketball projections. So now these are a little dicey, because sometimes you'll see some of ours are way higher or way lower than what PrizePicks is doing. College basketball, incredibly tough to predict and project, because there's no official injury reporting, especially in the middle of a pandemic. You don't know if somebody's suspended for schoolwork, what have you, right? There's all sorts of variables, and they don't have to report anything. So it's like, oh, so-and-so didn't start. They're not going to play the first half because they missed curfew or didn't do whatever they were supposed to do in film session. You don't know any of that, right? So there's a lot of variables that nobody can account for. But that means that you're also watching about 300 teams out there. Now, PrizePicks is mostly going to put the more popular conferences on there. So tonight we're looking at a matchup here with Creighton going against Georgetown. There's a player named Ryan Hawkins. Who is he? I don't know, because I don't follow college basketball, but Matt Kajeski has us taken care of. And he says, we're looking at him for 16 points tonight.
Not bad.
Now, if you go look at his game log, it's been all over the place. He's coming off a 30 fantasy point game. I believe it was in this same matchup. And that's one of those where it's like, well, I don't have time to do all of that legwork, but hey, Awesemo is doing it for us. So if I go look at Hawkins just real quick, I can see that in his last game, 2 games ago, he had 23 points. Wow, that's pretty high. We're only needing 11.5. We're projecting for 16.2. I'd be willing to roll the dice on it. Now, this is not one where I'm going to put a percentage on it. It's college. Who knows? They're 20-minute halves. There's a lot of ways things can go wrong. They get one less foul than you do in the pros, right? There's a lot of ways this can go sideways. But I like our odds here. And you could also look for him on RPA, or I like to call it RPA, PRA, points, rebounds, and assists. We have him closer to 25. PrizePicks has him for just 18.5. I like that number.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
No.
That's a pretty decent gap right there to work with. I'm just
watch the kid have flunked a test or something like that, right? And then he doesn't
the most
play.
volatile sport as far as like popular sport that you could, outside of golf, I guess, right, that you could bet on by all means. Look, I was looking at his 3-point props, and you mentioned just how volatile his game log has been. I don't anticipate him taking 18 threes again, like he most recently did against Georgetown on Saturday, but his 3-point prop is only 1.5. You'd like him to get over 11.5 comfortably, and in that mid-teens, 15, possibly 17-point range there, then I would think getting to 2 threes is live here.
Yeah, and these are just, I'm just saying this. I looked for this today. I hadn't done any college basketball.
This is fantastic
for this, and I said, you know what? Let me go see what we have for our projections here, and that one feels pretty good to me.
All right,
again, it's tough, but we got to do this. The last guy, another college one.
Can I say it? Can I say it? Because Mike Awesemo is a huge fan of puns, so I don't want to get out of here without saying it. All right, take us home, EMac.
Take us home?
Well, yeah. Who's the guy you're going with?
We're going with Uriah Home.
Yes.
There we go. Oh, I get the joke. Damn it. Nice one. You got that one by me.
It wasn't meant to be by you. It was
because I am the dad joke pun master of horrible, just obvious puns.
It was terrible, and it was meant to be terrible.
I love it too. It's one of my favorites. I will forever hold it in my heart on this Valentine's Day.
Just remember that when you've made it past your campaign to your winning ways, remember that story that, I remember back there. Just don't forget it.
All right. So we've got Home playing for Tulsa at the University of Central Florida. PrizePicks has him for 14.5 points. Awesemo has him for 15.5. Yeah. But if we start to look at points, rebounds, and assists, they have him for 21.5. Awesemo has him for, we technically had him for 24.7. I rounded down, but just showing there's reasonable edges here. that we could get. Now, do we want to use these? I don't know, but I kind of like this Hawkins one. I like the Hawkins 1.5 3-pointers, as you've mentioned. It at least made us go look and say, he took how many in the last game? Because if we heard Steph Curry took 18 3-pointers, that would be on SportsCenter everywhere, right? We would know the next day. Oh my God, did you see? Normally he takes 12, but he just was going nuts the other night. We don't get that from the college basketball stuff. So use the fun stuff here at Awesemo. I'm telling you, there are a lot of ways to make money in DFS. There are even more ways to lose them. But let's find that edge, and using the Awesemo tools can really help where you don't expect it.
You gave us 3 sports, so there are no complaints out there by any means. Hit that thumbs up button, please, if you haven't already. At EMac DFS, at Shander Show here for me. And again, Mike Awesemo producing. Appreciate you. Look, we've got 2.5 hours of NBA content, including our new NBA prop show that's coming up right now. So make sure you stay tuned for that. They'll get into some heavy betting / DFS analysis, the deep dive, and then live before lock. So we appreciate everybody hanging. Click the link below. Be a part of PrizePicks. We'll match that first deposit up to 100 and also give you that 1 month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Next week, soccer, Call of Duty, whatever we can throw in here, man. You've now opened the door. We'll see you.
Pandora's box, baby. It's open.